Welcome to the AdMotive Spotlight Series, where we showcase success stories, industry insights, and expert knowledge within the detailing and auto film industry. Whether you're a seasoned pro or someone just getting started, there will be something in here for everybody. Hope you enjoy. So I want to welcome Jonathan here. He's been one of our long-term clients and obviously a mentor for our shop too, and what we built here with everything. Without further ado, I don't want to go on too much, but Jonathan, do you want to introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are?
I am Jonathan Michael Monson. You can find me on social media. I have my own personal Instagram now, Jonathan Michael Monson. But you can also find Dirty2Dreamy, detail, ceramic coating, paint protection film. Search any of that on any platform. We've got over 1 million followers across all the platforms. You'll be able to find us. But I basically am the owner of Dirty2Dreamy along with Andrew, and we have scaled our business to over 1 million, and I don't really work there anymore. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about today.
And then you also have part of a training too, right?
Absolutely. We have an online school community that you can join. That is called Detailing Essentials. We've started a product line that's called the best detailing products. Let me tell you, they're great. And we also have our training studio, which we're still trying to figure out what we want to call that. I'm kind of torn. I don't want to tie it directly to Dirty2Dreamy just in case we ever sell Dirty2Dreamy Auburn. I want to be able to train everybody that works for whatever millionaire buys it and scales it to 20 plus stores so that I have constant training revenue. But yes, there is a training studio that is going to be a retreat. You'll be able to stay here on property soon. The studio itself is open now. We're training people 28th, 29th, and 30th is the first training next week, actually, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff for sure. And we're happy to be proud sponsors of what you build over there. And for anyone who doesn't know, definitely go check out Jonathan's socials. He has an incredible story of where he's at now with everything. But I'm going to jump into stuff here. And then I know in the kind of current climate of what we've been talking about, we've been really riding this wave of providing excellent customer experience, right? People are getting cars in the shop. It's prime season for most people here in the country. And really starting to harp on this, providing an ultimate experience, because it really does carry out through the entire business on how you do everything. And I think what you guys do, you execute at a very high level on providing that customer experience there. So can you guys share some of that?
You know, I've got a great story that I told. I was just on another interview like 2 days ago, and I didn't even expect to tell this. But when I first moved in this house, we just bought this house 8 months ago. It has a barn, which is no longer a barn. That's the training studio. It's now got concrete, sheetrock, beautiful lighting. It's the best. Let me tell you, it looks really good. When I put all that together, before I did, I said, I'm going to work in that. I want to work on the dirt, the rock, in a barn with hay, just like I started. You know, in the driveway, I was at a 30-degree angle. I was in a tent, canopy, for lack of a better term, and I just had to make it work. And it wasn't because I delivered the absolute most amazing detail work of the entire planet that I succeeded. It was the experience that I delivered. You know, people rolling up to a canopy in a driveway paying $1,500 for a service. If there's not an experience attached to that, they're going to go, hang on a minute, why am I paying so much?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I said, let's detail out of this. And I painstakingly detailed out of that barn in the freezing temperatures with propane heating the barn, just like the beginning of the company. And I can tell you factually, I ran into so many things that I was like, wow, how did I do this? This is insane. And just some small things like paint correction. I didn't use LED lights because they don't produce heat, and the panels were cold. So if you've got a panel that's below 30 degrees and you're trying to polish it, your polish and compounds aren't going to work the way that you intend them to work. So I had to use basically construction lights to heat the panel and also give me some correction, but had my handheld light to look at my finer correction. And I would turn the light around. And I was like, that's why I did that. So in all of this, you know, the first car that I detailed, first truck, super tall truck, didn't have a step ladder. You'd think, oh gosh, Mr. $1 Million business, he's going to remember he needs a step ladder to work on trucks. I booked it, it showed up, and I went, I'm an idiot. I can't do the roof on this because I'm not walking up and down a box. I mean, taking all this risk, it's on level ground and whatnot. So I took the customer through the entire journey. Before they even booked, they knew what I was doing. They knew that this is a barn. This is going to turn into a training center. But what I'm doing with you is a super inexpensive detail compared to what Auburn does. I'm not going to be able to reach the standards of Auburn, but what I want to experience is the beginning of the company. I want to humble myself before the altar of detail, right? And I want you to come along that journey with me. And then I took those customers through that journey. Every customer that I brought in that barn, I told them, you need to go to Auburn after this. You need to book an appointment. I just want them to double check my work. I want them to deliver what we call the Dreamy experience. And I can tell you factually, I didn't do that. I don't have the right lighting. I missed this spot. I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to do this. Every one of them wanted to book another car with me here at the shop at home. And it wasn't because I produced stellar work. It was because of the experience that I took them through, the transparency of the experience, the being honest and upfront, telling them what I can and can't do. You know, so often as detailers, well, this is what I can do. I'm the best detailer in the world. My ego's bigger than anybody's.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to produce the job and they fall short on something small. The customer's upset and there's nowhere to go from there. Instead of setting a realistic expectation, saying this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. I can chase that. I've got 2,000 grit sandpaper. Hell, I got 600 grit sandpaper. How far you want to go? But there's a risk in that. I can burn through your paint, and you're signing off on this piece of paper saying, go for it. And I'll go for it. But I'm not doing it until there's a very clear expectation set. And it was a beautiful thing. Now it's all concreted and heated and got electrical. I mean, we spent $120,000, and I can produce the same, if not better results than Auburn. But I could have created a business out of a barn stall. Right. While everybody else is struggling.
So then in that scenario, right, I mean, a lot of times I feel like everyone thinks they're the best, who provide the best service, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business on that side. And really what it comes down to is providing that best customer experience, because you're even able to take a lot of the market share out from other shops doing this in a tent, right? You think about a lot of those shops that have this nice, beautiful, the hex lights, nice polished floor, and all that kind of stuff like that. But then the customer experience is very, give me the keys and get out of the shop kind of feeling there, right? A lot of times you take this experience and you really go down on that one. It really helps transform and it really creates customers for life, because even we tell you this, right? Marketing amplifies the business that you have. So if you're quick in and quick out, that is what marketing is going to amplify. If you provide a great customer experience, it's also going to go through that way too.
Well, I mean, we talk about this all the time when we talk about the marketing and what we're going to put out in the public eye. You check me just like I check you. And part of what I want to talk about is accountability today. Accountability, sales, what you're bad at, what you need to be better at, and how you allot your time. But you hold us accountable to the standard that we've set forth. And when something's not going the way it should, there's a question. Like, wait a minute, are we not providing this experience anymore? Have we decided to level down? Because that's not what we do in business. And I do the same thing with you guys. Is this something that's not included anymore? Is this, yeah, cool. Hunter went on vacation. Great. Who's doing my stuff? I don't care that you're on vacation. Who's in charge of my things? And we deliver that to each other lovingly so that we can grow and scale our businesses, because you're experiencing something new and so am I. Mm-hmm. This is the beautiful part. And I talk about this when I coach people. You want to step out of your business, right? So you need to scale out. So you're currently good at the paint correction, the ceramic coating, not great at marketing and sales. So you get good at marketing and sales. And then you do just marketing and sales. You put somebody in doing the physical work. So now you're just the marketer and the salesman. And then you step out of that into something else. Every time you step out into something you're not good at, you're paying yourself a premium to be bad. Mm-hmm. Especially as you scale the business, because if the business is operating properly, it should always pay you a paycheck. And you're stepping into a sales position, not knowing anything about sales, paying yourself premium. You're stepping into, I was a construction manager for this build. Like, I don't even know what you call that, a team lead or a project manager, I guess. I'm walking out there and they're painting and there's runs all over the wall. And I'm like, what are we doing with these? Oh, we'll sand those out. We had some issues with the paint sprayer. No big deal. We just need to let it dry and we'll sand it out tomorrow. Okay, cool. But that's all I really do, is hold people accountable to the positions and responsibilities that they have now. So that's my job. Mm-hmm. I was a very bad construction manager, project manager, because I'm not good at it. I've never done it. And we looked at that, and me and Andrew looked at each other like, yeah, I'll never do that again, because it's just not something I'm good at. And I was paying myself a premium to do it. And that's the beautiful part about owning your own business as it scales and as it grows.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down back to the customer experience part too. I want to kind of tie that back in there because, from everyone else's point of view, it looks easy, right? We provide experience and going through, making sure everything's smooth. But as high performers, we always have high stress about making sure everything's correct, and especially the team you built too, where we all have the vision, right, as owners of what we want the business to look like, what we want the experience to look like. And we have a larger team as you scale to grow. It gets increasingly more difficult to continue to push the envelope, make sure everyone's bought in, making sure everything is followed to SOP exactly the way it should be. And a lot of times it gets difficult because then you have hard conversations with these people. And I know as business owners, me specifically too, before in the past, it was hard for me to have these hard conversations about holding people accountable and have these hard questions on that side there. So what does really accountability look like to you in holding whether your team members accountable or the people who are painting your shop or other people that are affecting your life? What does accountability look like for you?
So accountability for me is it's first tied into the person, right? So I need to know the person. I can't hold you accountable to something if I don't know your wants, dreams, and desires. So I got to get to know you, and that may take 90 days. I may not be able to hold you to the highest level of accountability for at least 90 days, maybe even 6 months. How open are you? We have a staff member, his name's Jaron. Love him to death. He's the one that helps me do content, right? Recently had to pull out the content from him because he's shown up late. So I had to have a hard conversation. And that conversation sucked because he does everything else amazing. I love the way he runs my business. I got to know him personally first, because if I tie in to what their wants, needs, and goals are, and I say, listen, I'm trying to make you more money, right? So we're doing this content thing. You're making an extra $200, $300, $400 a month. We're splitting what we make on TikTok and Instagram. And I'm going to take that away from you, which is going to stop you from achieving a home. You want to buy a house someday. You want to get into your own content. You want to start doing your own pages. And you're learning from one of the best in the industry when it comes to detailing content. I'm good at it. I can admit that I'm good at it. Am I the best? No, I said one of the best. I'm going to take that away from you, which means I'm taking away your want, need, and dream. And it's because you're not doing what you said you would do, and that's show up on time. I need you to show up on time, and I will give this back. So I can hold him accountable with his behavior being corrected because he wants to get something or he has a dream of. And that accountability, it can get ugly at times. You have conversations with somebody and go, you told me this is what you wanted. I've showed you how to get there. And yet over and over and over again, we're having the same exact conversation because you're not doing the things that will get you to your dream. So is it that you're lazy or a liar? Because those are the two options. When you hold somebody to the highest level of accountability, the only two options are lazy or liar. Everything else is an excuse. And as my pastor used to say, an excuse is the skin of a reason stuffed with a lie. Makes you a liar. So when you throw excuses at me, immediately I know you're a liar. And I don't deal with liars. You have to go find your truth and you have to come back. I will excommunicate you from my fold because I don't deal with people that can't continually grow and not lie to themselves. And me, I mean, you're lying to me at the same time. None of this is new. Every person that I coach, I'm not good at sales. Well, what time next week are you working on sales? Well, I don't know, whenever I have free time. Okay, so my mom used to say, you have time and money for what you want to have time and money for. You can make things happen. We've proven this time and time again. Throw your life into an emergency situation and watch how quick you handle that emergency and how efficiently you handle that emergency and still get everything else done. Carolyn Andrews' mom just went to the hospital with sepsis. Friday, Saturday, Sunday was a scary time for us because she's going through figuring out what's going on. My company still ran. I still had to do what I need to do. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, she's still in the hospital. We're still making it happen. We're going and visiting the hospital's not close. It was an hour away in bad traffic. That's 2 hours of time plus the time there. So you're adding 3, 4, 5 hours to my schedule, and I'm still able to get everything done. So we know as human beings, we're super resilient. We can get it done. All we have to do is plan to get it done or just get it done. Now, if we plan to get it done, what are we doing? We're holding ourselves accountable. Yeah. It's on the calendar. And if you eat, sleep, and breathe your calendar, you wake up in the morning and you go, what am I doing today? And why do we do that? We do that because retaining all of it up here is the dumbest thing that you could do. There's
Hmm.
a reason why AdMotive has go high level.
Yep.
Am I going to remember every single name of every client and then be like, oh, I need to call him? That's 253-624-8245. Yep. That day and age is over. I
Yeah.
used to have all my friends' numbers memorized as a
Hmm.
kid. I mean, hell, I had all my credit card numbers memorized. I don't
Yeah.
even pull out my credit card when I'm shopping online at home anymore. I don't need that stuff.
Right.
We have the calendar to hold us accountable. Now that we've held ourselves accountable, guess what you're going to work on next week?
The things on your calendar.
The things on your calendar. And guess what you're going to get better at?
The things on your calendar.
The things on your calendar. So now we have a system in place that holds us accountable. What happens when we run that system over and over and over again? So give me something that you've struggled with for the last 5 years.
I'll say reactivity. I'm gonna go with reactivity on that side. I always preach being proactive on what we do, and I always do follow my calendar to a T. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist, kind of thing. So I'll go through the day and do what I need to do. But a lot of times, I'll get an email, a message, Slack message, a DM about something, and immediately everything I was supposed to do gets thrown out the window. And now I'm responding to that message and taking care of what that needs to be there.
I can completely relate to that, especially when you have a desire to help people. What have you done currently to try to fix that?
Being a little bit more intentional with my time. And I actually went down from 2 monitors to 1 monitor to make sure that whatever's on my screen is the only thing that matters at the moment. Now, sometimes my brain, I like to task switch subconsciously and I'll see something that pops up on that side, but there's a couple of things I'm trying to help out with that.
Okay. Marginal improvement.
Marginal improvement, definitely, but there's some time to still lapse on that side.
Okay. So what other things other than that have you done?
That's really it at the moment, man. Aside from the obvious, having notification silence, and when I'm doing the task, the only thing that should matter. I have a little timer that says I need to complete this task within a certain time. I'm always a person that gets in that framework or mindset of I'll do what's required. So if it's working late and everything like that, but sometimes there are distractions that do come about. Some things that, at least in my mind, I feel like I can't avoid, but I know in some way that I should be able to.
Now, think about the 5 people you spend the most time with, and this can be digitally or in person. Of the 5 people you spend the most time with, how many of those people have you told about this problem?
One or two.
Have you told them that you want accountability?
I have not.
That's the beauty of your top 5. They talk about this all the time with rich moguls and stuff. The beauty of having 5 people that are super high performers is your top 5, the people you spend the most time with. They say if you hang out with 5 millionaires, well, you'll be the 6th. If you hang out with 5 meth heads, you'll be the 6th. So if we have 5 people that are highly accountable, that are our top 5 that we want to be like, and we say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I need you to hold me accountable to it. That's how we test our top 5. If that person doesn't hold you accountable, guess what? You need a new top 5. I'm going through this same exact experience this year, and I'm actually having a great time with it. I am fat. It works great for when I dress up as Santa. That's part of the reason why it doesn't bother me a heck of a lot. I'm also pretty strong, and I've studied martial arts for a long time. So when you look at my psyche, who I am as a person, when I was 15 years old, my face was crushed. That developed a large portion of my personality. As I grow older, I realize I look at things like, if I look in the mirror or if I act or if I try to do an action, can I protect myself? Can I protect the people around me? Size actually helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
When you know how to actually fight, which I trained. It's the only reason why I survived that day. So I have this excuse all the time in my head. I don't need to be in better shape. I'm in just enough shape that makes me happy. Like, I don't need to. I'm 320 pounds now. I think down to 315 at this point. I haven't weighed myself in several weeks. So I tried getting a trainer. I tried putting it on my calendar. I tried doing it at home. I tried joining the gym. I've tried. I mean, you've seen the posts. I've posted that I'm back on the horse and here we go again. And I've gotten on that horse probably 62 times in the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have now enlisted the help of the biggest driver in my top 5. Her name is Lisa Wheeler. She does not put up with crap. And she won't take excuses. So much so that I can tell you, and if she watches this, I love you, Lisa. I'll look at my phone, I'll look at something that she said and go, man, she's always such a bitch. But I love it about her. I love that she's just a straight shooter. So I said, Lisa, I need to be honest with you. I've been trying to get this under control for years, and I need somebody to just show up and be like, stop it. Just stop it with the excuses and let's do this.
Yep.
Here's what I've done. I've adapted. I'm not doing your traditional let's work out stuff. I'm just doing bench press, right? I'm trying to get to 50 reps. I'm up to 35 was my last max at 135. I can now bench over 225. I'm back to where I was in my peak days where I'm repping out at 225. I haven't maxed out. Bet you could probably do 300. That's it. That's all I started with is bench. That moved into starting to do workouts. Now she's coming over every Wednesday and Friday. Have I dropped a ton of weight? No. Is my body shape changing? Yes. Do I have more confidence? Absolutely. Do I have more energy? For sure. But I had to enlist the help of my top 5 to hold me accountable because John was being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a liar. I'm lazy. I love cake. But we look at that and we look at how I was able to hold myself accountable. We tried the systems. The system didn't work. The people that I keep around me are the most important part of how I've done what I've done. When I get to $1 million a year in a business, or when I get to let's scale and let's have 2 revenue streams, 3 revenue streams. I mean, I think Grant Menard has, gosh, it was like 16 or 19 revenue streams last time I saw him post about it. I'm at, I think, 9 at this point, now with the product company. Because I was at 7, and then I have the training studio and the product company. So I'm at 9 revenue streams. As you branch out, that's a high level of accountability, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to work on all of them every day. And it's not a lot of work. It's just holding people accountable and doing the things that make the system work, which thankfully I now have AdMotive. I have Urania. I have these pieces of the pie that I just go, okay, start this business. Let's use those pieces of that pie and we'll put them in here. But I still have to hold everyone accountable. That's my job. Yeah. If I wake up one day and I go, meh, that's the beginning of the end.
And it feels like you're letting down everyone who's supposed to be holding you accountable.
Yep. And if I do that, guess what my top 5 does?
Yell at you now.
You all right? You having a bad day? You depressed? No. Well, then what's the problem? Get in here and get it done. So it's super powerful to have the right people in place.
Yeah.
And I can scream all day long. There's no magic trick to this. This is just delivering a great customer experience, producing a quality product, and following up and staying in touch and building relationships. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And I think there's power in having someone guide you down a new path, right? Because it's always the same, what gets you here won't get you there. And a lot of times we have to shift to new identities as a person. So we're trying to build, essentially what it is, we're trying to build habits of what we're trying to become, right? So we're building habits, and it all comes down being consistent. And being consistent is the hardest thing you do, like you mentioned at the gym. So I'm into fitness, and then the hardest thing is always getting to the gym, right? I forget who said it was just, if you're trying to get into fitness, get into the gym, just go. You can walk around the gym if you want to, but just go there and start building the reps of showing up every single day. And a lot of times we do need that person to kick us in the butt and tell us to go there until we can guide us on our own and do our own thing. And then I always tell you this one, but there's always new levels, new devils, right? And you'll have a new bottleneck that comes across, and then you have to look at it and have something else tell you to push in the right direction to hold you accountable, whether it's yourself, maybe a new system, something to keep you accountable.
I love that. New levels, new devils.
I mention all the time, right? I come different problems. You hit a new record month, there's going to be something else that pops up that you'll never experienced before.
I want to throw something completely random in here, but I want to say this first. You mentioned becoming different people, right? Mm-hmm. As you scale and grow, the journey that I took on with my personal business was to discover the fact that when I was punched and my face was crushed, that it actually changed my mindset, who I was as a person. And I took a personal journey that was probably a little bit more powerful than many others because I had that trauma as a kid. Mm-hmm. I had to develop different personalities to do different things within my business. The person that you see on social media is largely me, but there is absolutely a piece of who that person is that would not do that stuff in person until I knew you well enough. I act like a goofball. I do a goofball stuff in person, but I'm not going to go to the 10th level. Like the video I made yesterday, tripping and falling. I'm not going to do that in person.
Sure.
And truth be told, the first 2 falls were Predictable. The third fall was me actually losing my balance because I didn't realize rolling a couple times as a big guy was going to throw me completely off. So the third one, if you look, you're like, oh, that's a real fall. But there's the personalities, and this is legitimate in science. Like they've studied this. All of us have at least two.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that you don't have multiple personality disorder, you're now a liar. I don't want to hang out with you, because we all have the one that we have in public. And then we
Right.
have the one that's at home. The one that's at home is vulnerable. And that's why toxic relationships are so bad, because you don't get to be vulnerable and be yourself. And then the one in public is a little bit more protected.
Sure.
And maybe that one's great at sales, but the one at home's not good at sales, can't even figure out what they want for dinner. Right. But the one in public would tell everyone what they want for dinner. They're just very different personalities.
I think some people will listen to this and feel like almost comes across disingenuous that like, hey, you actually are a different person. We talk to different people. I mean, we all do it subconsciously. The way I talk to my wife is different than I talk to you, whether you like it or not, right?
I hope so.
The way I talk to my business partner Luke and our clients is all different, right? It's who I am as a person, how I'm speaking to you and how I'm speaking to wife. It's all a collective of who I am as a person. So I feel like people, they hear you speak and you hear me speak and say, oh, you actually are, you have to put on, not to say different faces, not what I'm saying, but like content hunters, it's a little bit different than real life hunter. Because in content, I'm trying to deliver value, trying to be a little bit more energized. And in real life, I'm very mellow, calm. I joke a lot, use a lot of humor, but very steady pace and everything. But it's just trying to bring the energy that it needs to and connect with humans and get the message that you need to get across to other people.
100%. I mean, that'll tie perfectly into what's the mission and vision of your business. You want to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard altogether. Those personalities become okay because they manipulate to get you to where you are. And everybody's so afraid of that word. I love saying that when I train sales and marketing. That's what it is. I just checked out on Amazon and it said, do you want 1 year protection, 2 year protection? Button. At the bottom is next. It's always been next. What did it say at the bottom? Add protection. Like, top right was skip this step. Like these that's sneaky, but how many sales do you think they got from the protection?
Right. Well, I think sales, it becomes manipulation when you don't believe in the product that you're selling. I think it's that people feel disingenuous and feel they're misleading when they don't believe in that product. Because if you truly believe in what you're selling, you would want everybody to buy from you, essentially, as long as you're a fit.
If you truly believe in the product and what you sell and your business, and honestly, if you don't, why are you in business? Go get a job. If you don't believe in what you're doing, you will fight. And this drives me nuts. You won't follow up with a customer 3, 4, 5 times because they said you're too expensive. Well, that's exactly why you need to follow up. Isn't it your job and your goal and your mission to provide an excellent service and show people the world that is dirty to dreamy? We call it the dreaming experience for a reason. And you're afraid to follow up? They're going to go to Joe Schmo Kokomo down the street. They're going to get a horrible experience. And guess what? They're going to remember us.
Right.
Because we're the ones on social media with 100 million views.
Right.
You need to call them back. What are you down there? Well, for what reason? Well, they're cheaper. Is that the only reason? Or is there other reasons? If we were both the same price, just out of curiosity, who would you pick? Well, I'd pick you. Why? Because you've got a better appearance on social media. You got better reviews. Okay, well, isn't that worth the extra money? You should do business with us. Otherwise, you have this risk over here. But with my business, if you make a video that says I had a terrible experience at Dirty to Dreamy, guess what? It's going viral. It'd have to be a really poorly put together video if it didn't, because I already get so many views. So you have an out with us that you don't have with anybody else locally.
Yeah.
I am so proud of the product that we produce and so proud of the team that I have and so proud of what I've built that I will fight tooth and nail to convince you that you need to do business here. But it's also rooted in my mission and my vision. My mission is to touch life through detail. If I'm forcing into you something that you think you want that you really can't afford, or that you really don't need, or that's not the right fit for you, I'm going to run so fast from that sale and try to educate you as best as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
Your 2004 Camry with clear coat failure because it's white or red, or a Honda that has clear coat failure, I'm sorry, but if I polish that and put a ceramic coating on it, that ceramic coating is going to shed within 2 years. It just doesn't make any sense. And if it doesn't make any sense, remember, it doesn't make any dollars. Long term, that customer will have buyer's regret, and they will tell every single one of their friends. Power 10, power 3. Bad experience, they'll tell 10 people. Good experience, they'll tell 3. You could have even said, this will only last 2 years. Probably not a good idea to do this. You could have documented it. You could have done everything you possibly could. You put a ceramic coating on failed clear coat. That is a disservice to a client, and that will haunt you. You have to be in tune with the mission. You have to trust in the product. You have to hold yourself accountable to a higher standard. I mean, look at, I'm on a kick for money. I actually might start a podcast that's about money.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be called Something Money, because we all fight and hunt for money, right? But yet we do things for that money because that's what we want and need. And what we want and need control us. They control your morality. They control your character. They control how you operate in this world. And you look at the things that you've done for the stuff that you quote unquote want or need, a nice car, a yacht, a boat, a big house, whatever it is. And you've compromised the core values that you have. And you get 15 years into that, and you're like, I destroyed it all.
Mm-hmm.
Every relationship. I lost my wife. I mean, how many business owners go into business and break up?
Yeah.
Because they changed who they are. Their core values and the core structure and the foundations of who they are as a person no longer meshes with their partner because it's a different person.
Right.
And that's a sad place to be. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a level of change. We talked about this in the beginning. There's different personalities, and there's different things we go through as people to become better people, truly akin to our mission and our vision, to become a person that's better than the person before. And if somebody doesn't like the better version, sorry, I grew and you didn't. I left you behind.
Mm-hmm.
We work this out at this point is the conversation that ends up happening. But so many people are afraid to be abnormal. If you look at any of my social media content at the end of the day and you watch 10 or 15 videos and you go, that guy's totally normal. I don't know what you watched because it wasn't my content. I am not the average person. And it's that stepping out of the norm, holding ourselves accountable to do so, that all of society will look at you and go, you're kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm super successful because of it.
To be weird, by definition, means that you are not normal, which also means that you're not the average person. So if you strive to be the 1%, the person who succeeds above the average, by definition, you're going to be weird.
100%. And it's, you talk about missions like, I don't need a lot of money. Okay, cool. What do you want to do in this world? I want to solve world hunger. You don't need a lot of money, but you want to solve world hunger? How are we doing that? Do we have Harry Potter wands? Because that sounds like a money problem to me. And that's the difference between, people talk about the verse all the time, the love of money is the root of all evil, and they eliminate the love part. They just say money is the root of all evil. The fact of the matter is, most of the things you want to impact in this world require money to do so. Mm-hmm. You have to shore up yourself first so that you can help others. There's a book called Fix This Next that talks about this all the time. Everybody tries to jump to legacy. Let me leave my legacy behind. You just started your business. How are you going to leave a legacy behind? Well, I'm going to spend $4,000 on doing this nice thing for this person. Cool. What's on the schedule for next week? I'm not good at marketing and sales. Nothing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see how this goes. And they'll have to beat their head against the wall until they get so sick of their own behavior that they change it. And that's another level of accountability. It's rooted in how we're built as people. It's called the cycle of failure. It's a psychological phenomenon that we do as human beings. I have a closing remark, yes.
Let's hear it.
Grab onto my chair real quick.
I'm ready. I'm strapped in. I got my seatbelt on.
I'm 41 years old. I have been coaching businesses since I was 19 years old. I know that sounds insane. You could even go back further than that. When my first ever management role, my leadership role, was at a pool store. And I coached the pool store to number their rafters and their shelving so that when somebody said, hey, I need this, it's in row B, aisle 2. You think that's not that big a deal, John? Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they didn't have it in the business. And I did it, and they took it down. right? So I've been creating things and coaching businesses for a long time. Of that 20 years of helping people grow, which helped me grow, I teach and that's how I grow. Factually, 1000% of the people that failed because they did not implement the things that were taught, or they did not work on the things that they needed to and hold themselves accountable. I am on such a hot button topic when it comes to accountability because I'm so tired of getting the same messages over and over and over again. You are wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
And my time, I'm 41 now. I have nights where I lay down my head and I go, how many years do I have left? You know, how long do I have on this planet? I'm watching Carolyn go through cancer right now. She's only in her 50s. I think she's 56, 57, and she could be gone. That's insane to think about. That's only 15 years away. Don't waste my time asking me the same question over and over again. Hold yourself accountable, put in the dang work, and get her done. If you're not going to get her done, go get a job. It's just not worth it otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that message. I really appreciate your time here, Jonathan, on the first Spotlight series and everything. A lot of great messages. I know we can go down a lot of different rabbit holes. One day we'll talk about sales and we'll get some spicy takes on that one and going through things like that. But again, I really appreciate your time here and contributing to us.